يهودي خلفي، تعال واقطع رأسه، ونحن نقطعها، والله لا نقطعها أيها اليهود.
But there is one common thread. They all use their religion to justify their hatred. And it all starts with one of the most important weapons that they have in their arsenal, the weapon of propaganda.
I was born a Muslim, and my whole family is Muslim. They're not evil. This is about what America says about all Muslims living here. Are they welcome or are they not? My mom's a Muslim, and she's the sweetest person you'll ever meet. The 1.5 billion Muslims in this world aren't in Al-Qaeda. They love their children too. And some of them, like me, love the Pittsburgh Steelers, air-conditioned movie theaters, and subs from New Jersey.
Islam is about peace. Islam is about moderation. Islam is about friendship. Islam opposes any kind of hatred against anybody.
The Quran commands that you disavow and make hatred and enmity between democracy, between nationalism, between secularism, and that you see Obama as the enemy he really is, that you see the United States as the enemy it really is.
And if you are not a Muslim, they count you as a disbeliever. Their mission? To terrorize you.
I guess I wouldn't consider myself really part of like an educated class. I'm not like a scholar or I don't even have a degree yet.
And I'm not sure that I feel educated on the issues, nor do I feel particularly articulate about these particular issues.
Yeah, I have a degree, so I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. I wouldn't say overly educated, but I am understanding of most things. Normal, I guess, what a normal educated person would know.
The more I read about it, or the more I talk with people, the more I realize that there are not easy answers for this, and that there's such a history of conflict and long things that I think it's not easy.
There's just been a lot of tensions within Iraq. I mean, I know Iraq and Iran are Shia dominated, whereas a lot of the rest of the Middle East is Sunni dominated.
Can't say I'm an expert in the topic. I pretty much only know that they are obviously different. I feel like it has something to do with religious differences.
Well, from what I know, it's a strange relationship.
But my major understanding and belief now is that basically it's two cultural differences, not a religious difference.
And they believe that Ali, who was his nephew, was the hereditary leader, and he actually became the leader, but I think he was like the fourth caliphate.
The things that I've learned is there's usually lines in the sand that divide groups.
They look in the foundation of both sides. They realize there is the same religion.
There's a few Shias in Sri Lanka. They're just they're more, I guess, more modernized than the other. But the Shia in Sri Lanka were a bit more liberal, and they weren't as controlled as the other Muslims.
There were believed that eventually they went underground, and so the Shiites are waiting for the return of the Imamate.
Essentially, we said we were going in because Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction, and we said that they weren't cooperating with the UN inspectors. So the US essentially acted unilaterally and invaded Iraq.
We, as in our government, thought there was something wrong there for us to consider going.
Our going in there was not well informed. I feel like we went in with the American public were not given good information, and so I feel very sad about that, and I feel that it was really a grievous error.
Afghanistan was our initial war on terror. Iraq, I thought, was more of that we were continuing that, but then there was always an argument that it was more about oil, and George Bush wasn't being honest of why we're really there.
I'm not sure why we're there, other than just there's something we're trying to get out of it. It's usually something to do with petroleum.
Well, the benefit a little bit easier because there's only one benefit is removal of Saddam. It basically shifted power from one side to another side.
I guess I didn't really see the benefits of it.
Past that, it's just been, we took out Saddam Hussein's government, and now we're just trying to fight all the insurgents to create a sustainable peace and democracy in Iraq.
We did not do it in an appropriate way. We did not do it in a consultative way with the world community. And if we would have done that, it may have made a difference in the outcome.
I wouldn't know exactly what any benefits are, but I guess it would say we at least have a better understanding of what is going on there, for better or worse.
That it was war on terrorism and therefore to protect the rest of the world, or just the U.S. That way, I think it was good. It did help control some of that terrorism, I suppose. But at the same time, it makes you wonder if that really was helpful, if it just made things worse by the U.S. going in, getting involved there.
So I don't think in the long run it's going to be that much benefit. But
I can say that our troops in Iraq will definitely be home for the holidays.
Well, I think it's at least a good idea now. I mean, as of right now, we can only speculate, but I feel like the positives of it are better than the negatives.
I'm really ambivalent about this. I feel like we go in, we make a mess, and then there's a corrupt situation going on, and then we pull out and leave the situation and say, well, now it's solved.
I honestly think that it won't. At this point, I don't think it's very helpful. I think it's destroying more than it's helping.
I think it's a good move at this point to withdraw troops. I think, I guess time will tell what happens if it erupts into civil war or whatnot. But at this point, I support the withdrawal, and I think that's our best option at this point.
Being a parent but not having any children there, I would be very happy to have my children return home.
I think that would be good for us, and good for Iraqis probably, because sooner they have to start thinking about how they going to govern themselves and solve their problems.
We've sort of built their society, and now we need to step back. But I think it was just kind of this realization that Iraq's not the place for us to be. It's not the place for us to be, for the next. We're not nation building 50 years.
And now we've pretty much restructured their government.
That's a very tricky situation. Who knows how that's going to come out.
You see, the Sunni might revolt against that. So there still is going to be that problem of controversy within Iraq.
I think part of it too is, Iraq now has a democratic government, or what we call democratic government. And so we feel like it's also in the best interest of Iraq that we step out of the way and let Iraq govern itself, because that's the only way they're going to be a sovereign and successful state.
But you have to always remember, in Middle East, majority of the people are the youth. 70% of the people are probably under 30. So in a few years, they become majority, and they may be able to change this stuff. But right now, over 50 people have the power, and they are the minority. So in the next 5 to 10 years, things may change rapidly.
And like in the mid-1800s, it was just so backward and so corrupt, and the people were in grave situation and desperate. It was just horrific.
I think for near next few years is going to be pretty close, because most of the people who are in charge right now are very close to American government, so they will be still close. And for the near future, I think all the military support from the U.S.
Obviously there's a worry of Islamic extremists in Iran because it's more of an anti-American country, and so I bet there's a lot of politicians and like scholars that are worried that Iran will have too much influence over Iraq.
And Iran really genuinely hates the United States. Or, I don't know that people do, but I certainly, from the pulpits and from the government, that's the party line now.
Because Iran's a fairly strong country, and with its nuclear weapons program, has had a lot of sort of power in the world. I think the concern is going to be that maybe Iraq becomes more of an Iran.
But I also need for us to understand there's different kinds of Islam and different ways it's interpreted. And there'd be the more pure kind of Islam, which we hear more moderate Islam.
I know most Americans probably are against it now, but I'm sure they don't really know why, and I'm probably one of those people. Well, I've been told to be against it by other people, so I feel like that's pretty much how it is.